on the record in wanting stepped up Canadian commitment to foreign aid.
In the NDP support 0.7% of GDP as a legitimate goal, and
You're looking at debate night in the closely watched riding of Toronto Centre. It's one of 4 federal by-election campaigns across the country right now. Advanced voting already underway this weekend. Tory Jeff Pollock and the Green Party's John Devrel are hoping for a good showing, but the stakes are higher for the Liberals and New Democrats. A long-time Liberal riding for sure, last held by former party leader Bob Rae. But our next guest wants to change that. NDP candidate Linda McQuaig, a well-known journalist, social critic. She's the author of several best-selling books. Her work addresses issues ranging from income inequality to climate change. And the NDP is hoping she'll help turn Toronto Centre orange. We spoke to Liberal candidate Chrystia Freeland last hour. Linda McQuaig joins us now. So what convinces you that you can overcome fairly deep Liberal history in this riding and win?
Well, I think we have a shot at it. And I think one reason is we're running a very tough campaign, and we're focused on issues. You know, we are running a very issue-oriented campaign around affordable housing, better quality jobs, climate change. Every week I put out a newsletter dealing with a different one of those issues and what we do on it. And we can't seem to get our, the Liberal opponent to come forward on issues, that on what their issues are or responses to our issues. I mean, I've been, for instance, asking for, we saw Justin Trudeau go down to Washington and endorse the Keystone Pipeline. That's a huge, huge endorsement of Stephen Harper's big oil agenda. I can't get Chrystia Freeland to say whether she agrees with that or not.
It's interesting because you say you're running a tough campaign, and you have been very focused right from the get-go on focusing on your Liberal opponent.
And the issues.
Okay, but beyond that, aren't the Conservatives the bigger issue, the bigger problem, or are they just not competitive in this riding?
Let's put it this way. The Harper government is the biggest problem we face in this country, and we have to get rid of it. That's job one.
Right.
It's just that, as you say, the Conservatives in this particular riding are not much of a factor, so that's why the focus is, actually, if you look at the debate the other night on Rogers TV, I spent a lot of time criticizing and attacking the Conservative candidate, but it's the Liberal candidate that is the more prominent.
I'm sure that you or some of the people working with your campaign are doing the calculation, doing the math. Is there a scenario here if you and Chrystia Freeland are challenging each other or see each other as the biggest challenge come voting day, that there's a vote-splitting scenario that could happen and possibly the Conservative candidate, Jeff Pollock, could come up through the middle?
Actually,
no.
In fairness, Jeff Pollock is a delightful man, but he's not running too much of a campaign.
Okay.
It really is. The Conservatives are not a factor there. So it really does come down to, this is a chance for people to actually choose between the Liberals and the NDP. And the Liberals are kind of taking the riding for granted. They've held it for a long time, and they brought in somebody from the outside. Somebody hasn't lived in Canada for the past 10 years, and we think that's something of an issue.
I want to share with you what Bob Rae tweeted just this past week, quoting, "The contest in Toronto Centre has been reduced to class warfare and character assassination." For you, has this campaign been all-out war?
I don't know where Bob Rae would get that. It certainly isn't all about class war at all. Income inequality is an issue. And income inequality in the different ways that the Liberals and the NDP approaches it. My feeling is that although the Liberal candidate has written a lot about income inequality, she doesn't have any solutions for income inequality, which leads me to believe, she doesn't seem to regard it as a problem, or at least a problem that we should be tackling. One of the reasons for that is probably that a lot of the income inequality we have in Canada is directly the result of economic policies put in place by the Liberals as well as Conservatives.
So when you go door to door and you say I can actually fix this, I can make a difference. How could you if you're elected?
Let's put it this way: we have to reverse the kinds of policies that were put in place by Liberal and Conservatives since 1980. It has to do with tax cuts for the rich, social spending cuts, privatization, deregulation, tax on labor. And we have to bring in policies that are more focused on a fairer tax system and stronger social social supports, and more focus on job creation. So there are solutions where she has a tendency to well, first of all, her focus has been on the super rich in the United States. That's her main focus. That's the plutocrats. Whereas my focus is what is the impact of income inequality, and you know, how can we deal with it? I don't see it as inevitable. I see it as something that's the result of policies that can be changed.
Let's assume for a minute you win. It's been said that if you win, you could be Tom Mulcair's worst nightmare. You are more to the left than Tom Mulcair, who's trying to bring the party more to the center. You have to acknowledge that you don't agree on everything.
Well, no, actually, Tom Mulcair and I get along extremely well. I've spent quite a bit of time with him in the last few weeks. We are both strong progressives. We want a progressive tax system. We want action on climate change. We want to rebuild social supports. My debate is with the Liberals, you know, and the Conservatives. The NDP is the progressive party in Canada, and I feel very comfortable within it.
Just to be clear, though, certainly on tax policy, you would like a fairly hefty tax increase on people making more than $500,000. That's not something Mulcair wants to touch,
okay,
correct?
but Nancy, I've written on taxes for years, and I've suggested many different solutions to the problem of rising inequality and dealing with it through the tax system as well as other ways. There's so many ways to make our tax system more progressive. And I'm just delighted to get on board with the NDP campaign to raise corporate taxes because corporate taxes have been cut in half by Liberal and Conservative governments. That's gutted our fiscal capacity of the state and made the tax system very unfair. I'm delighted to be part of that campaign to get more revenue out of corporations.
I'm sure right now you're very focused just on this campaign and the days leading up to voting day. But let's flip the scenario. If you lose, are you already planning, are you already committed to saying, I'm going to run in the next federal election, I'm going to run in this riding? Or I want to?
You know, you're really putting me on the spot. You know, we got a week to go in this campaign. I'm definitely focused on winning, but I do have a long-term commitment. So, you know, a long-term commitment to all these issues that I've been fighting for, and I wouldn't be surprised if I was still around in 2015, but
we'll stay tuned. Linda McQuaig, good to talk to you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks a lot, Nancy.